Right, so we've just heard that Sean Dyche has been appointed Nottingham Forest new head coach. Our reporter Adnan Taloui is at the training ground this morning. You saw him arrive at the training ground. We've just seen them breaking the news on social media. But yeah, what more can you tell us then about this deal, Anton?
It's interesting, isn't it? I think the deal looks through to 2027, but when you go through this statement, I think it's really interesting because when Ange Postecoglou was appointed 6 weeks ago, you had Evangelos Marinakis in the statement sort of saying why they had appointed him and going into detail about the ambitions of the club. This feels slightly different this time. In the statement that Nottingham Forest have put out in the last couple of minutes, they talk about Sean Dyche's history, his connection with Nottingham Forest, coming through the system as a player here. You talk about the fact that he's joined by Ian Woan and Steve Stone. And in the statement, it obviously points out the fact that combined, they've got more than 400 appearances for Nottingham Forest. So clearly, the connection between Sean Dyche, his backroom staff, and the club is something that they really want to highlight. No messages no quotes from Evangelos Marinakis in this statement, but it does say that they're following a thorough search from Edu, who's obviously now in charge of the global head of football here at Nottingham Forest, and George Sirianos as well, who's the technical director, talks about the thorough process that they've been through. So it seems so this is their appointment as opposed to maybe so much the owner's appointment, but also going through the fact that we know they've been in touch with the representatives for the likes of Roberto Mancini and Luciano Spalletti and Pedro Martins. We know they were interested in Marco Silva at Fulham, for example, but didn't make contact with Fulham because we know the compensation that would have been required would have been a huge fee. So it's interesting. This feels like a very different appointment, not just for footballing reasons, but I think the process has been different this time around as well.
Yeah, and he doesn't have long to sort of try and stamp his style onto the side. Of course, they talk about European ambitions in their statement and having a look at what they've got to come up as well, of course, in the league to try and turn things around. It's going to be no easy feat, is it?
No, their games coming up are very difficult, starting, of course, with Porto on Thursday night in the Europa League, a competition which they are expected to go deep in from the highest echelons of the club. And yet, so far, they've only got 1 point in their opening 2 games. And it felt like the beginning of the end, the last time they played at the City Ground in the Europa League when they lost 3-2 to FC Midtjylland. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on Forest to start well on Thursday night because they are expected internally to go well in Europe this season. As for the Premier League, they've got high-flying Bournemouth coming up this weekend. Then, obviously, they've got Manchester United. They've got Liverpool coming up as well. And then a few weeks' time, Leeds sandwiched in between that as well. It's not an easy start for Sean Dyche and his backroom team to get Nottingham Forest up the table. And as you were saying, Hayley, as well, it's not just the case that Nottingham Forest feel they need to get out of the relegation places. They feel they need to be back in that top half of the table. They believe they have a squad capable, still challenging for Europe. Chatting to Nico Williams yesterday, he was saying, look, we still have high ambitions at this club. But we still feel as though, there are still a points tally we can get, which is still set to really high standard at this club. He said, look, we can still get technically 90 points this season as a joke. But what he was basically saying is that we can still go on a run and push ourselves where we expect to be. So, yeah, Sean Dyche is expected to come in, take his first training session in the next hour or so, and get his side just from day one prepared, ready, and bolstering up both the Premier League and the Europa League table.
And just briefly, finally, it was a Marinakis appointment, wasn't it, with Postecoglou? This feels slightly different, doesn't it, Anton?
It does. I think Edu, like I said, has had more of a say in this one. Him and George Sirianos, the technical director, were clearly going around candidates, weighing up everything to try and find the right person. But also Forest in a very different position as they were when they appointed maybe Ange Postecoglou, because now they need to get out of these relegation places and go higher up the table. Sean Dyche preparing for his first training session here at Nottingham Forest. His first media conference will be tomorrow, which we will bring you live on Sky Sports News as well.